The Truth Will Not Be Silenced, the show that allows people to be seen, to be heard, and to be human. I'm your host, Melissa Woodfork White. In today's episode, we will talk about the immigration experience part 2 with my husband, Nathan Whyte. Sharing our stories allows us to be seen, to be heard, and to be human. There will be a special surprise at the end of the show. Be sure to listen all the way through for the details. Our returning very special guest today is my husband, Nathan Whyte, who is happily married to me, his loving wife, Melissa Me. Nathan is a transportation director. He was born and raised in England. He is a proud graduate of Forest Hill Boys School in London, Sydenham College in London, and Birmingham University in Birmingham. Nathan holds multiple certifications in logistics and transportation supply chain worldwide. He has over 32 years in the workforce, bringing forth his expertise in business and logistics. He is the co-founder and owner of White Warehouse Connection, LLC, providing the best business and education products and services. Nathan is going to share with us about the immigration experience, part 2. Hi, Nathan. Thanks so much for joining us again.
Hi, Melissa. Thank you for having me. Thank you, everybody.
All right, let's get to it. After immigrating to the United States, what is the difference between your work experience in Atlanta, Georgia, and in Phoenix, Arizona? But before you get to that one, let me just let everybody know. When we moved from England, we first moved to Atlanta, Georgia, and then we were there for a year, and then we moved to Phoenix, Arizona, and we've been here for about six years, honey?
Maybe 5. Yeah, 6 years. Yeah, 6 years now.
We've been here for about 6 years. It'll be 6. Yeah, we've been here for about 6 years. And so with that being said, Nathan is going to share with us the difference between his work experience as an immigrant in Atlanta, Georgia versus his work experience as an immigrant in Phoenix, Arizona.
Right. Firstly, work experience in Atlanta, Georgia, there's more opportunities, and it tends to be more aligned with federal regulations. It's really aligned with federal regulations, and federal regulations supersede state. They're more stringent with those regulations. They accept your certifications. There's better opportunities in management. There's better pay, and a better working ethic as well. In comparison, if I was to talk about Phoenix is kind of leaning more to state regulations. The opportunities are somewhat less, and the pay also is less, and they also do not accept all of your certifications you may have. If I was to give an example of that, I work in the transportation field, okay? And when I left, or when we left Phoenix, Atlanta, Georgia, should I say, and we moved to Phoenix, Arizona, there were certain credentials I had, which are US credentials, that I had to retake. They accepted them. However, I had to go and fulfill this exam, or fulfill this written exam, or do a physical training in some sort of capacity in order to get a state certification, in order to use that certification I already had. So they're very different in that way. There's a lot of gray area in Phoenix, Arizona, as far as I'm concerned, where state law is concerned, whereas the federal law that is more prominent in Atlanta supersedes all. There is no...
Well, let me just say that the federal law supersedes all state laws.
Yes.
But what you're seeing here in the state of Arizona is that they focus more on their state laws versus the federal laws, which supersede the state laws.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. They focus more on the state law element, and you very seldomly hear about the federal laws. You have to kind of like dig deep. You know, that's like a private preserve, and you really got to look up into them and really, you know, dig them out in specific areas to see.
Because they only give you the
That's
state
right.
ones.
They only give you the state ones. So you have to realize it's more aligned with state more than anything else. That also goes in my profession in the managerial areas. They're sort of like limited as well. You know, in that sense, you've got to go above and beyond with what you have in order to get an opportunity somewhere, which is not as easy as it is if I was in Atlanta, Georgia.
So let me say this, for those of you that watched or listened to part 1 of the immigration experience, Nathan talked about the difference between the European Union and the United States, and immigrating from England to the United States, and his work experience, and also in obtaining residency and his work visa. So what he's talking about now is his work experience in Atlanta, Georgia versus his work experience in Phoenix. We lived in Atlanta. You had more opportunities for management given your high level of credentials, education, and experience, versus as when we moved to Phoenix, they didn't give you those opportunities in management with your high level credentials, expertise, education, and experience.
Yeah, that is correct. If we start with Atlanta, you showed what you had. You had to prove yourself, obviously. You had to go in and prove yourself. But once they saw what you could do, it was like they opened the door and basically said, show me how far you want to go. And that's basically what
in management.
In management. Show me how far you want to go and show us where your skill set can help us grow and help us, meet those the levels and our mission statement, basically. Help us achieve our mission statement, what you bring to the table. However, when you go to another state like Phoenix, they see what you have, you prove to them what you have, but they don't really want to use what you have. You kind of
give you that opportunity in management, unless
you're sort unless you it's people who it's
out here, it's who you know. In order to get in management. That has been your experience, has it not, honey?
It has, yes. It's people
versus that's coming from Atlanta. It was all about your experience. You didn't have to know X, Y, and Z to get in management. They saw the value that you added, your level of expertise and so forth, and you were automatically in management. Within months, you were in management because of your expertise, experience, and education, high level. Whereas out here, it's about who you know. And who recommends you for those management positions in order for you to even get a foot into the door. Can you tell us about that? Because when you came here, you came from management. You came from management in the UK. You came from management in Atlanta. But then when you came here to Phoenix, you applied for management. But tell us what you got when we first moved here.
Well, when I applied for management, it was basically...
No, tell us what you got. We know you applied for management. But what did you get when we got here?
Right, what I got was basically, no, you can't have management. You have to come in below management.
And work here for X amount of years before you can go.
Yeah, and then what happened was...
tell them you started as a dispatcher.
And
you came from management. You have always started in management. But when you came out to Phoenix, you started as a dispatcher in transportation. I really want our audience to hear this, honey.
Okay, I was a dispatcher in transportation, but how I got a foot up is I had another gentleman who was my immediate supervisor, and he was not from the state of Phoenix. He came from another state, and he saw the potential, and he saw what I could do, and
what you brought to the table.
What I brought to the table, and he recommended me to go to
be his unofficial assistant director of transportation in his absence.
That's right. But then when doors started to open elsewhere, he recommended me to go and apply at these other locations. And that's how I got into
management again.
Again, that's how and then from that point onwards, it's
You've
just
been in management.
You know,
At the executive level.
Executive level, no questions asked.
So basically, honey, what you are sharing with our audience here on today is that you had to start at the bottom.
Yeah.
When you came here to Phoenix, and that they wouldn't take any of your high level expertise, credentials. You applied for the positions in which you are highly qualified for, which are in management and the executive level, which is where you've always worked and which is where you come from. But when you came out here, they were like, no, because it's about who you know. And it's about you working for them for X amount of years before they decide that they want to move you to management, even though that's where you came from.
Well, yeah.
And this is your experience as an immigrant.
Yeah. But may I add, now that I'm in these levels of management, some of the people
still micromanage you.
Are still trying to micromanage
and don't let you do your job.
Don't let you do your job. But even some of those people that micromanage, some of the people that they recruited into these management positions, I'm training them.
So what you're saying, honey, and yeah, you are my honey. We're gonna keep it professional, but I can't help myself. This is the love of my life. So with that being said, you're saying to me that people got into those positions by who they know, and not necessarily by having the experience or the expertise that they need to be in those positions, where you're the ones that had to train them for their position. Right. And in addition, you also did their work.
That's right. That's correct.
Because you weren't going to let the transportation department fall apart, because you did not hire or recruit those individuals in which you inherited something.
That's right.
So for all of you that are tuning in, my husband inherited somebody else's office. Sure. And then he had to work with what was given to him, even though he requested that he bring into his own people. Sure. And so he wasn't allowed to bring into his own people who can actually do those positions, because the people that were already in those positions have friends.
That's correct. It was kind of like a case of friends of friends. It's not a case of
experience and expertise.
It was more a case of who you know more than what you know. And that's something no, I come from a little different than that.
Well, we both do, honey. Me being born and raised in the United States of America, I have always, gotten my executive level, high level positions, management positions, supervisory positions based on my high level credentials. I too have had the same experience as him, and I'm not even an immigrant, where I'm from the northwest suburbs of Chicago via Washington, D.C., where I graduated from Howard University. And then I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, whereas every position that I've ever gotten in management was based on my education experience and my high level of credentials. Whereas coming out here to Phoenix, Arizona, I have administrative certificate leadership certifications, and I applied for those positions and didn't get those positions because it's about who you know. And so with that being said, even though I got my certificate in school management and leadership from Harvard University, and I've applied to be the principal, assistant principal, instructional specialist, which I am a formal instructional specialist and academic coach, I haven't gotten hired for those positions. They've only hired me for classroom teacher positions and allowed me to be the department chair and the team leader by title only. And so I understand what my husband's going to, because I feel like I'm being treated like an immigrant in my own country, in a state that doesn't function like majority of the other states. Whereas it's about your hard work, it's about your experience.
Yeah, that's right.
Your education, time, money that we have spent in our careers, invested in our careers to get to where we are, to be who we want to be, and to be successful at doing that. Things that we love. My husband loves everything, all things transportation, logistics, and I love everything, all things education and teaching.
Yeah, it involves a lot of hard work, and I mean a lot of hard work. And in the state of Arizona, in Phoenix, for example, you don't really get that support system, in my experience. You don't get that support as you would do in Atlanta, Georgia. The support system is rigid, it's strong. It's really, really behind you to push you forward to the next level. Whereas here, it's kind of like, the people that get supported is the people of friends of who are light. And if your face isn't fitting
if what you look like doesn't fit what they look like,
or what you want it to be, or what they want it to be, should I say, you're going to run into some challenges and some obstacles.
So as you have shared with us, honey, in both part 1 and part 2, your immigration experience from country to country, and then today from state to state, it is different for everybody. I felt like, as his wife, that moving out here to Phoenix, that he was treated unfairly, and I felt like it was because of his immigration status. And so with that being said, nobody wants to see the love of their life being treated less than who they are or what they are. But I have to say that, you know, he's had to work twice as hard as me and anybody else who is born and raised in this country to get back to the level in which he was already in, which is executive level management. And so a lot of hard work and a lot of hard years. And so with that being said, Nathan, how does sharing your story today help others?
Well, it kind of like gives you an insight of some of the challenges you may face or may not face, depending on which state you're in. You know, the bigger states, as far as I'm concerned, the more internationally known states are better equipped, I would say, to dealing with immigrants from all parts of the globe. They have agreements in place, which are very helpful. If you go to states, or you happen to move to a state where it's kind of not the equivalent international, not known as an international state, they're smaller, they don't have the infrastructure like the bigger states do, you will face some challenges. You'll look around and think, well, it's a lot slower paced, it's a lot more not as advanced. What do we call it,
honey? Coming here from Atlanta to Phoenix, not Stone Age, primitive, what do we call it? They're like backward. They're like really slow. They're like behind the times.
The certain things which are used are not as advanced as I'm accustomed to in the big states, or even that.
And the word innovation here is non-existent.
Innovation, you're talking, the only innovation you're going to get out here is if you create it. Right. The importance that everybody needs to be aware of is, if you're an immigrant coming in from another part of the world, you have to be able to adapt. And that is also moving from one state in the US to another state. This is very important because no state is the same. Okay. Atlanta, for instance, is an international, worldwide, and world-renowned city. Sorry, it's a world-renowned city.
You can get to any part of the world from Atlanta. Okay. Whereas
Phoenix is not so.
You have to go to an international city like Atlanta or Los Angeles to get to the access other parts of the world. All the world.
That's right. The point of adapting, if you're not going to adapt, you're going to face a lot of challenges. And those challenges are going to be real. There's no hiding away from them. You will face challenges. And if
it's going to take a lot of hard work.
And if you're going to be resistance, to those challenges, it's going to not be
in your favor.
It's not going to be in your favor. It's not going to be the success story, or you're not going to kind of get that dream that you had hoped for.
So basically, it's about you doing whatever you have to do to get to where you want to be. And so, and I don't say doing negative things, I'm saying doing positive things to get. So one thing is, honey, you know how proud I am of you. You know how hard I see you work every day. And because you are an immigrant to the United States and having moved from Atlanta, Georgia to Phoenix, Arizona, you've had to work twice as hard in Phoenix, Arizona than any other place that I've seen. And so for that, I'm very proud of you and all of your accomplishments. You're back in the executive level of management within transportation, which is your expertise in your field, your high level credentials. And I'm very proud of you. So with that being said, tell everybody how they can contact you.
Well, you can contact
Or do you
us.
want me to
Oh,
start?
you can.
So you can contact Nathan at www.whitewarehouseconnectionllc.com, or you can email him at info@whitewarehouseconnectionllc.com. Thank you so much for joining us, Nathan. Again,
Okay. Thank you very much, Melissa. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
next week, we'll continue to discuss and have conversations about real experiences, personal and professional, stories that need to be shared, seen, and heard that makes us human. The truth will not be silenced. To be seen, to be heard, to be human. The surprise. You can join our channel membership to get exclusive access to members-only badges, emoji, and perks. You can also purchase Super Chat and Super Stickers to connect with us during live chat, to highlight your message, and to see a digital or animated image. Be sure to visit our store and make a purchase. Following the link in the show notes lets Buzzsprout know we sent you and help support our show. Buzzsprout is the best way to launch a professional podcast. Want to ask a question, be a guest, or subscribe to this podcast, The Truth Will Not Be Silenced? Click on the show link. Thank you for joining us.